Hello, football officials. This is Chris Edwards, your WSOA football representative, and we're coming to you with week 3 of the WHSAA training videos. And first of all, I want to give a huge shout out to all the crews that we were able to watch and learn from this week and get better as a group. The first set of videos we're going to look at are clips with the kicking game. And we know the kicking game is that part of the game that can sometimes bring some weird plays about and bring up some of those scenarios that maybe catch us off guard a little bit. This first clip we're going to watch is a free kick, and we're going to review our mechanics. The first thing we look at is how many K team members are on each side of the football. And here we clearly have 4 team members on each side of the ball. And then we have the 1 K team member that is at the 35 or behind. And by rule, this is the only K member that may kick the ball in this formation. Now, one thing we look at as a back judge is a great position on the K free kick line. The line judge is on great position on the R free kick line to rule on any touching or first touching by the K team members. Now, this situation will roll through it, and we'll see that the member of the K team just to the left of the ball is the person that kicks the ball. So in this situation, we do have a couple things to look at, and now there is only 3 K team members on the left side of the football, plus the member of the K team that was at the 35 or behind is not the member who kicks the ball. Now in this situation, by rule, we'd have encroachment by the K team, so we'd blow this play dead and march it back 5 yards and have a re-kick from the 35-yard line. The R team in this situation does not have any opportunities to accept or decline this penalty. And we see we have a great onside kick in this situation. It doesn't end up in a pop-up kick. So that part of the play was clean by rule. So just remember, on a free kick, we have to have that member behind the 35 is the only K team member that may kick the ball. This next clip is for another free kick situation. And here, once again, we establish there's 4 K members on each side of the football. And we have 1 K member who is clearly behind the 35, who is the player who does kick the ball. Now, in this situation, we have a kick that is clearly into the end zone, which results in a touchback. Now, in these plays, sometimes we end up with extracurricular action or action that could not be considered part of a regular football play. Now, this crew does a great job of forming their triangle. We have the line judge, we have the head linesman, and the umpire who's just out of the view of the camera. But we do have good triangles that we can have eyes on the blockers that we're responsible for. Now, in this situation, just bring your eyes to about the 30 as we watch this play through live once. And we clearly have a takedown of that K member. Now, in my mind, this would be deemed a personal foul. This is not a football play. It doesn't need to be any part of this kick. And once we have that action, then we end up with the chest bump and potential extracurricular plays in that situation. So in this situation, my recommendation would be just make sure we officiate through that dead ball. We don't get in a rush to bring the ball in from the ball boy, get it to 20, and start our 1st and 10 from the 20-yard line. And we just have a few things here. We end up we can see that, we have our bill of the cap looking over here for the ball boy. The umpires doing the same thing down here. And we just forget to keep our eyes on these players who are finishing their play. Most KT members in this situation are taught to run to the goal line before advancing back to their respectful sidelines. As we're going to see, that continues on. Like I said, just make sure we keep our eyes into that field of play and make sure we officiate through that dead ball so we can prevent any of those extracurricular types of plays. This next clip we're going to look at is a clip that works on fair catch scenarios. We'll roll it through full speed the first time. We have a kick by the K team members where the ball ended up being caught here about the 30-yard line. Now, unfortunately, we don't see the fair catch, but the receiver did clearly give a fair catch signal. And then we have him advancing the ball after the fair catch. And we have the tackle. And we see right here the back judge does drop the penalty flag after processing that the R team member did advance a fair catch. Now in this situation, this will result in a delay of game penalty. If we go to Rule 655, it says no receiver may advance the ball after a valid or invalid fair catch signal has been given by any R player. And that penalty does result in a delay of game or a 5-yard penalty. And that's why it's vital that the back judge drops the beanbag at the point of possession by the receiving team, and that's where we'd go back and mark this penalty off from. So we have a 5-yard delay game for any player who advances a fair catch. Now, next couple of examples we're going to look at deal with illegal participation. This first play we're going to look at has a helmet come off of a defensive player, and that defensive player is here in the circle. Now we got to remember that helmets that come off by the result of a penalty or a foul by the opponent's team, that player may stay in the game. But if a helmet comes off not due to a penalty, that player must go off for one play. Now also in this scenario, we have to make sure that we understand the legal participation rule, which is 964G. It says, for a player whose helmet comes completely off during a down to continue to participate beyond the immediate action in which the player is engaged. So when that helmet comes off, if that player continues to participate past that action that they're engaged in, that does turn into legal participation. So we watch here, the running back comes up, makes a clean block that causes the helmet to come off. At this point, that player should stop participating in the play. Now this member does continue to participate, doesn't make the tackle, but in this situation we could have illegal participation by that player on the defensive team because the helmet did come off, and that's where they should stop. Now we're going to roll this play back through. There's also a play where we have a tackle by the defensive end. Now in this situation, the arm does get high on the tackle, but if we look at it here, it's just a forearm that's across the top of the helmet. We have no grabbing of the face mask or an opening or the back of the helmet or a mouth guard. It does look like kind of maybe we could have a potential face mask, but I think in this situation the crew did a great job of staying disciplined and seeing that there was no grab of the face mask and there was no jerking or twisting because of that action. So kudos to the crew for staying disciplined in there and not throwing a flag for a face mask. Now we're going to switch gears a little bit. We're going to go back to the Cheyenne Central Laramie game, and we're going to watch a crew do a great job of goal line mechanics and reverse goal line mechanics. And we're going to focus on our pre-snap keys here in this situation. So we do have the offensive team backed up. It looks like we got 1st and 10 from about the 1. Now, as we watch this crew, they do a great job of both sideline guys. They're a couple yards off of the sideline, which gives them the opportunity to work backwards to the pylon. And right here, you see that headlineman go back to the pylon, and then he moves back towards the field of play because the ball was advanced out of the end zone, and he steps in and signals that as forward progress at the 1-yard line. Go back and watch that one more time. And another thing I want to point out is the referee does a good job communicating to his side guys that they do have goal line responsibilities. And then they step back and then move forward back into that field of play. So that was a great example of reverse goal line mechanics. Now we'll watch this crew do a great job of regular goal line mechanics. So we have 1st and goal from the 1-yard line. And in this situation, the crew does a good job again. They're communicating pre-snap. They got 11 on both sides of the ball. Crew members are in proper position. And once again, we'll watch the head linesman. Unfortunately, we don't have a good view of the line judge, but they are mirroring each other across the side of the field. Now in this situation, as soon as snap happens, we're going to see that official get to the pylon, a couple yards off again, which is great positioning, and they're able to rule right down that goal line and give the touchdown signal. Now in this situation, I do feel that they don't need to crash in or come crashing down hard. This is a clear touchdown, so all we need to do is give that whistle, and we'll notice the great mechanics of both arms going up high into the air. We don't have one going up first. They blow the whistle, then they give both arms straight up into the air for that touchdown signal. So both great examples of reverse goal line and goal line mechanics. Now these next play we're going to watch goes back to that legal participation. We're going to look at a turnover. And we have an interception by the defensive team. And what I want you guys to do is pay attention to the receiver here at the bottom end of the screen and watch where his route leads them. He does a little out route, and he does end up, in my mind, intentionally going out of bounds or going out of bounds on his own with nothing of the defense forcing him out of bounds. Now the interception happens in the middle of the field, but as we watch that number 5 on the white team, he does a great job hustling back into here, and he does make a play on the tackle. So once again, if we go back into the rule book, it says in 9.6 Article 2 that no player shall intentionally go out of bounds during the down and return to the field to play, intentionally touch the ball, influence the play, or otherwise participate. Now in this situation, I do think we can deem that that player did intentionally go out of bounds and did participate. Now if we watch this bottom official here, he does throw his hat in this situation to kind of signal that that player did go out of bounds. But at this point, I do think we could justify a flag being thrown because that is a player who does come back in and influence the play and makes an impact. So in this situation, we could have had that 15-yard penalty that would have taken the ball from the 32 up to the 47. So that'll kind of be the wrap-up of our video for this week in our training video. And once again, I just want to thank everybody for all that they do for our football teams across the state of Wyoming. And as we go into this week, just make sure we stay on top of our pre-snap keys, make sure we communicate, have a great pregame discussion amongst our crew, so make sure we're all on the same page and we're paying attention to those things that help the game be played in a safe manner. And once again, this is Chris Edwards, your WSOA football representative. Have a great week. And please let your loved ones at home and your employers know that you appreciate them sacrificing to allow you to be on the field as a third team.